Hello everyone, let's take a few minutes to walk through how to use Omeka. So Omeka is kind of like WordPress, if you ever heard of WordPress. WordPress is a blogging platform that is open source, which means everybody gets to see the code, and it is completely free, just like WordPress is. WordPress has a WordPress.org, which is actually a way to download the software that makes a blog and use it. But WordPress also has WordPress.net, which is, or actually, I'm sorry, it might be WordPress.com now, which is a way for you to make a blog for free. Omeka works the same way. Omeka has a .org, which you download the software and install to make a virtual museum. Uh, that's how I made the Camp Security Museum. But it also has an Omeka.net, which is like an interface for making virtual museums. It is designed by the folks at George Mason University. It can be used professionally by historians and museums and all kinds of things like that. But just like anything that's really that complex, you can also very much dial it down and change exactly what the expectations are to make it more appropriate for a K-12 audience. So I've made a little example, which there is a link to in Moodle, but I want to show you the behind the scenes of that example so it kind of makes sense. So once you get to omeka.net, you can sign up, and you also will be given choices of plans. Please just choose the free plan because we won't even come close to using all of the space. I've already made an account, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. Once you're there, go ahead and register yourself and make your own plan. And once I log in, you'll see that I have a site already set up right here. So I can manage the site, I can view the site. You probably don't have anything here, so you can actually just start your site. You get to name your site anything you want as long as it's omeka.net at the end, and this is just Mummert example omeka.net. I've used very little bit of the storage, and I can delete it if I really mess it up. So viewing the site is going to see what it looks like actually on the web, which at this point isn't very exciting. Managing the site kind of shows what's behind the scenes. Okay, so if I click View Site in a new tab and Manage Site in a new tab, you'll see that right now, this is my external page. I have added maybe 9 things that I like. There they are. Okay. And there's not much more here besides browsing the items and browsing the collections that I created. And you can change this absolutely any way you want. You can even change the theme to make it look different if you don't like it. What is really cool for historians like us is what's in the background, because this is really like sort of like the library, and this thing is kind of like the card catalog. So back here is the dashboard for omeka.net, and I can actually add items here and add all of the information I want to add with them. Right now I've created 9 items. I've put them in 3 collections, and I've used 6 different tags. Okay, I'll explain the other things here in a second. So let's look at my items. You can see this is this click right here. I've picked all kinds of things that I like, different items, and I in particular wanted to choose different kinds of things, documents, software, images, moving images, so you get a chance to understand exactly how big this thing is. Because it's a virtual museum, don't think that the thing that actually you're putting in the museum has to actually be owned by you or or actually inside this museum only. So it's very useful for omeka.net sites to actually collect things from across the internet. Of course, properly citing them and using links, but that's completely acceptable. And it also is a great learning experience. So it's like actually building your own museum. So each one of these things has little bits of metadata attached to it. That's what we call things like the creator, the date, etc. So let me just show you what one of these looks like, and then I'll show you how to add one. So I put in, for example, let's do this political chart. Okay, I'm going to click Edit, and this is the editing page for this political chart that I added in. Notice that there are different things about any particular item that you can change across the top here. Notice that anytime you make a change, you need to save them. And notice that you can make it public or private. Okay, it doesn't actually have to be public. I'm going to encourage you for this particular project, though, to please make them public, just so it's kind of easier to see them. If you have something that's super special and you like it featured on the front page, you would actually click this here. Every item can be put in collections, and I can create collections over here on the left. It so happens that I put this into a collection called Crisis. I'll show you how to make collections in a minute. As far as this, Dublin Core is the metadata, which means it is the list of all the stuff that historians like to attach to any particular item. You absolutely positively do not need to fill all of these in, because it gets very, very detailed. So what I'm going to encourage you to do just for the project you're doing for me is to use the ones you think are most useful. Please feel free to leave lots of them blank. I will show you that when you do this with students, you may want to put a plugin into it, which will reduce the number of blank spaces and make it far easier for them to fill something out. Okay, so let's look at what I did here. I put in the title. I could put in the subject. I put in the creator. And I think I put in the publisher and the date. Okay, so feel free when you're doing yours to do something similar to that. If I click item type metadata, this is where it basically is asking what kind of thing is it. And in this drop-down menu, you'll see lots of things you can choose for that. I chose to call this a still image. Under original format, I've used this in this particular text area to put in the actual link to the item. Okay, many of these don't really have a thing that says URL to the item, but I'd like you, if you have something that needs a URL, to please put it in this original format. Okay, I don't have anything else filled out there. If there is a file, that is, if you actually own the thing, or maybe you scanned the thing, you can put the scan of it in this file. What I'm doing, because it just makes your museum work much better, is I'm putting in a little screenshot of it. So right now I'm using a Mac, and if you're using a Windows, you'll have to look up how to do this. I kind of forget. But on a Mac, if you hold Command-Shift-4, you can actually easily take a screenshot of something and then just upload it. So this is nice because every one of your items then has a little picture that goes with it. Finally, tags is a way for you to organize them. I showed you what tags looked like on the campus security site. All you have to do to add tags is type them in here separated with commas, hit enter, make sure you save the changes, okay? But for the most part, I decided that this was AP US history, and I was also kind of showing what things are in color and black and white, so I gave this the color, the tag color. Once I saved it, it became one of my items. And if I go to my item list, that's where all of my items are. So feel free to take some time to look at these and actually see what each one entails. Here's a video, here's a book, so you can kind of get the idea how it works. And right now, let's add an item really quick. So if I were to add an item, all I have to do is hit add item, put in the things I'm interested in most. Please don't fill them all out. It could take forever. Make sure you hit public, select a collection if you have one, and then kind of work your way across the top. Okay? If I wanted to go to add a collection, which you'll need to do too, that's kind of similar. You go to collections on the left, you hit add a collection. I'm going to actually show you what the crisis collection looks like. Super simple to do. Just give it a title that makes sense. You may want students doing this to maybe describe it, okay, or you may want them to put their name in here. That's totally up to you. But once you create something as a collection, it is in the drop-down list every time you add an item. So it's pretty easy to add items. And then as you know from the front page of an Omeka installation, you can search things by their collections. Item types kind of describes the different kinds of items you can have. Okay, and if your museum got really big, this would sort of count for you what they are. If you had something that you didn't feel was here, okay, that you'd like students to use, you could add an item type. Okay, it is kind of, you may consider a website. Oh no, I'm sorry, website is on here. Okay, so you might actually come up with something that you feel should be its own item type, and feel free to do it. Okay, just feel free to create one if that makes sense. Tags are here, so this has collected all of my tags. It shows you, as you can see here, how many times it's been used, okay, and that these are all the tags that I use. And then on my front page, I can search by tag, and I would get, for example, all the things that have to do with world history. When you are ready, when you actually have your Omeka installation ready for the assignment in this module, all you need to do is to give me the link to it, okay, which is the external link right here, and then I'll take a look at it, and that's how you do it. As always, please contact me if you need help with anything. Thank you.